Hello everyone. This video is to give you all the anticipated answers and a proper analysis of the UGC-Net exam 2018 which was held on 8th July 2018. This exam consists of two papers and in this video we've covered the paper 1 of the exam. Paper 1 is a general paper on teaching and research aptitude and it is compulsory for all the candidates. It consists of 50 questions and each question is of 2 marks. In this video, we have covered 25 questions which comprise of the teaching aptitude unit, reading comprehension, communication and reasoning. Teaching aptitude consists of 10 questions, reading comprehension consists of 5, so does communication. The reasoning part consists of 10 questions, but in this video we have covered just 5 of them. The rest 5 will be covered in the part 2 of this video. Please note that all these answers and analysis which will be covered in this video are anticipated and the candidates are requested to rely only on the official answer key properly, which will be released in the last week of August 2018. Our first unit is a teaching aptitude. A total of 10 questions came from this unit. This unit is also known as the research aptitude. Starting off with the first question, which of the following set of statements best describes the nature and objectives of teaching? Indicate your answer by selecting from the code. The code are these options from which we have to choose our answer. Let's go through the options once. Teaching and learning are integrally related. This is right. There is no difference between teaching and training. This is absolutely wrong. Why? Because teaching is teaching a curriculum or a syllabus and it is a very professional job. Whereas in training, the main focus is to acquire a skill or to learn a job. So most definitely this will not be the answer. Our next point is the concern of all teaching is to ensure some kind of transformation in students. This is correct. Why? Because every teacher aims at bringing about a transformation in his or her student. Our next option is that all good teaching is formal in nature. This is wrong. Why? Because teaching can also be in an informal way. How? From our family or even our friends, which do teach us a lot of good things but in an informal way. Our next point is that teacher is a senior person. Again, this is wrong. A teacher is a teacher irrespective of his or her age and therefore this point is again wrong. Teaching is a social act whereas learning is a personal act. This is most definitely a correct answer. Why? Because teaching is imparting knowledge to a larger audience. That means it is a social act whereas learning is a personal act. How? This is because learning is a personal knowledge gaining process and it has nothing to do with other people. So it's not a social act. Therefore, the correct answers out of these are A, C and F. So let's check out our codes now. A, C and F. Therefore, our third option is correct. The second question, which of the following learner characteristics is highly related to the effectiveness of teaching? Learner characteristics refer to the characteristics of a student. Our options are prior experience of the learner. This means that, for example, a student prepares in advance or prior to his lecture for the next lecture which is going to happen. If the student does so, it will be very effective for the teacher to teach him something as he will have prior knowledge about that subject. Therefore, this is right. Educational status of the parents of the learner. This is most definitely wrong. The educational status of the parents of a learner as to if they are educated or not does not depend on the effectiveness of teaching of any teacher. Peer groups of the learner. A teacher's teaching will be effective irrespective of the peers of the student. Family size from which the learner comes from. Again, it does not depend as to if the student comes from a joint family or a nuclear family. Therefore, this is wrong and our correct answer is option 1. In the two sets given below, set 1 indicates methods of teaching while set 2 provides the basic requirements for success or effectiveness. Match the two sets and indicate your answer by choosing from the code. These are the codes from which we have to select our answer. The first method of teaching is lecturing. Lecturing refers to content delivery in a lucid language, which means to express a content in a very clear format. Therefore, this is what lecturing is. Brainstorming. What does brainstorming mean? It refers to the production of a large number of ideas when a group of people sit together and they think about a particular topic and produce a large number of ideas. That is brainstorming. So, a very important point that should be kept in mind while solving such type of matching questions is that if you even detect 2 or 3 of the options, it will be very easy for you to choose the correct option. For example, here we see that A option is matching with the third option and C option is matching with the second option. Let's see our code once. A with 3 and C with 2. So most definitely our option will be the third one. So this strategy should be kept in mind while solving such matching questions. From the list of evaluation procedure given below, identify those which will be called formative evaluation. Indicate your answer by choosing from the code. Now what is formative evaluation? A formative evaluation is an internal assessment which consists of formal and informal procedures. There are two types of evaluations, formative as well as summative. Summative is that type of evaluation which happens after the course has been completed or at the year end, and it checks the overall performance. Let's go through the options now. A teacher awards grades to students after having transacted the coursework. Now, since the award is given at the time of summative assessment, that is after the completion of course, therefore this is the wrong option. During interaction with students in the classroom, the teacher provides a corrective feedback. This is most definitely correct answer. The teacher gives marks to students on a unit test. A unit test is a part of a summative assessment. Therefore, this is wrong. The teacher clarifies the doubts of students in the class itself. This is again a part of the formative assessment. The overall performance of a student is reported to parents at every 3 months interval. The overall performance comprises of the summative assessment. Therefore, this is again the wrong option. The learner's motivation is raised by the teacher through a question answer session. This again comes under formative assessment. So our correct options are B, D and F. Therefore, the fourth option is the correct answer. Here we have an assertion and reasoning question. All teaching should aim at ensuring learning, which is correct, as every teacher's main aim is to ensure learning. All learning results from teaching. This is wrong. Why? Because we do not learn just from teaching. Our society, our own experiences, they also teach us a lot in our life. Therefore, A is right and R is wrong. So answer 3 will be correct, which is A is true and R is false. There are two sets given below. Set 1 specifies the types of research, while set 2 indicates their characteristics. Match the two and give your answer by selecting the appropriate code. These are the research types and these are its characteristics. Fundamental research. Fundamental research is related to theory building. This is a very direct question, and therefore fundamental research will be matched to the second option. Second is our applied research. Applied research refers to the exploring the possibilities of a theory for the use in various situations. Action research refers to the use of interventions. Therefore, this will be matched to this. Now, as I said earlier, we use a strategy. A option matches with the second one, B matches to fourth, and C matches to the third one. Let's check out our codes now. A matches to the second. Now here we have two options that have A with number 2. So we'll also have to check out other options also. B with 4 and C with 3. So most definitely our correct answer will be option 1. Which of the sets of activities best indicate the cyclic nature of action research strategy? Now this is again a very direct question and it was given in a very indirect way in the previous year's question papers. The action research strategy was given by Kimis and McTaggart. In 2002, they gave the action research spiral. What does that spiral say? It says that first we have to plan in order to initiate anything. Then we have to implement the change, which refers to acting upon the plan. That is followed by observing the changes and finally reflecting on the processes of change, which again goes back to replanning. So as per this, the correct option will be fourth, which says that first we plan, then we act, then we observe, and then we reflect, and then we again plan, and the cycle goes on. Which of the following sequences of research steps is nearer to scientific methods? Scientific methods are those methods which first define the problem, what are its causes, then it defines the population size, after which it defines the sample of the population, and then the data is collected, and finally it is analyzed. So as per this method, the sequence of research steps which is nearer to scientific methods is our third option. The problem of research ethics is concerned with which aspect of research activities? Let's see what our options are. Following the prescribed format of a thesis. This is not a problem since following any prescribed format of anything can never be a problem for anyone. Data analysis through qualitative or quantitative techniques. Again, this is not a problem of any research activity. Defining the population of research. Again, defining the population makes it very easy for conducting a research activity. Evidence-based research reporting. This is most definitely the correct answer. Why? Because evidence is always relative and it is not completely ethical in nature. So therefore, our correct answer will be the fourth option. In which of the following activities potential for nurturing creative and critical thinking is relatively greater? In order to nurture the creative and critical thinking, experiential training is used. This improves the process of learning. How? By doing various activities which are done by holding workshops, which include a lot of creative activities. So therefore, the correct answer of this will be participation in a workshop, which helps in increasing the creativity of a student. Moving on to the reading comprehension part, the passage this time was given from India 2020, which is a book by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who was the former president of India. The passage was very direct, and the book India 2020 offers a vision of how India can become a developed nation by the year 2020. So this is an expert from that. If the passage is read properly, it is very easy to answer all the questions. Now the passage talks about the technological strengths of India. Let's look at the questions now. According to the above passage, which of the following are indicative of the fourth dimension? The answer of this question was mentioned very clearly in the first few lines of the paragraph. This includes the people, the overall economy, and the strategic interests. And since modern day dynamism was not included in the passage, our correct answer will be A, C and D. More productive employment demands, pervasive use of technology, limiting competitive marketplace, geopolitical considerations, or large industries. Again, this was a very direct question which was mentioned in the passage, and its answer is pervasive use of technology. Without a pervasive use of technology, we cannot achieve overall development in our people in the years to come. So again, this was a very direct question. Absence of technology would lead to less pollution, low value addition, wastage of precious natural resources, hurting the poorest most. Again, this is very clearly mentioned in the paragraph, and these lines include all the points except for low pollution, and therefore the answer will be B, C and D only. The advantage of technological inputs would result in unbridled technological growth. This cannot be the answer. Importing plant machinery? No. Sidelining environmental issues? Most definitely not. So the correct answer of this would be lifting our people to a life of dignity. Again, this was very clearly mentioned in the paragraph. Envisioning a developed India requires aspiration to become a major economic player, dependence upon projects designed abroad, focus on short-term projects, development of core technological strengths. The answer of this will be the fourth point. This was very clearly mentioned in the last few lines of the passage, and since it was a very direct question, if you read the paragraph properly, it would have been very easy for you to find this out. Moving on to the communication part, this unit includes 5 questions which came in the July 2018 exam. Our assertion says that the initial messages to students in a classroom by a teacher need not be critical to establish interactions later. This is absolutely a wrong statement. Why? Because the initial messages are very important, as the class agenda and what is going to be taught in that particular class is told clearly in the beginning only. Therefore, the initial messages are very important. Reason: more control over the communication process means more control over what the students are learning, which is absolutely true. So therefore, in this case, since A is false and R is true, this will be our correct answer. To communicate well in a classroom is a natural ability. Absolutely wrong. Communicating well in a classroom is a learned ability. Every teacher learns how to communicate well in a classroom from her experiences. Reason: effective teaching in the classroom demands knowledge of the communication process. That is absolutely true. So in this case, since A is false and R is true, number 4 will be our correct answer. Assertion: classroom communication is a transactional process. Absolutely correct, since communication is always a two-way process, and so is the case in classroom communication. Reason: a teacher does not operate under the assumption that students' responses are purposive. This is wrong. Why? Because a teacher does operate under the assumption that the students' response are purposive. So in this case, A is true and R is false. So third option will be our correct option. Which of the following set of statements is correct for describing the human communication process? Let's look at our options. Non-verbal communication can stimulate ideas. That is true. Communication does not have to always be verbal to stimulate any idea. Communication is a learned ability. That is also true. Communication is not a universal panacea. That is also true. Universal panacea means a universal remedy or a universal solution, which communication is most definitely is. Communication cannot break down. That is also true. More communication means more effective learning by the students. That is false. The amount of communication or the level of communication does not lead to any effective learning by the students. Value of what is learned through classroom communication is not an issue for the students. That is also false. What is learned through classroom communication is definitely important for our students. So therefore, the correct answer in this case will be A, B, C and D, which is the third option. Moving on to the reasoning part, which includes the logical as well as mathematical aspects. The next term in the series will be what? -1, 5, 15, 29 and so on. Now, when we look at this series, we realize that there is a common difference between all these numbers and hence they form an arithmetic progression. The difference between -1 and 5 is +6, between 5 and 15 is +10, between 15 and 29 is +14. So according to this, what should be added to 29 should be 18, since the common difference between all these numbers is 4. So when we add 18 to 29, it gives us 47. So therefore, as per this arithmetic progression, our correct answer will be 47. The next term in the series, ABD, DGK, HMS, MTB, SBL will be what? Now here also we realize that there is a progression being formed in the first, second and third alphabets of each term between AD, between D and H and M and and S. Let's see how. An easy way to detect is to write all the alphabets once. The difference between A and D is of 2 alphabets. The difference between D and H is of 3. Between H and M is of 4. Between M and S is 5. So according to this progression, the difference between S and the next alphabet should be 6, which brings us to Z. Therefore, the first alphabet in the next term in the series will be Z. Now let's see what the second alphabet will be in this term. The difference between B and G is of 4 alphabets. Between G and M is of 5. Between M and T is of 6. And between T and B is of 7. So as per this progression, the next alphabet after B in this term will have a difference of 8 alphabets, which brings us to K, since B and K have a difference of 8 alphabets. So our second alphabet in this term will be K. Now at this moment, we can also use our strategy of checking the options once. There are 2 options still which have Z and K as their first 2 alphabets. So we'll have to check for the third one also. The difference between D and K is of 6 alphabets. Between K and S is of 7. Between S and B is of 8. Between B and L is of 9. So as per this progression, the next alphabet which will come after L should have a difference of 10 alphabets, which makes it to W. Therefore, the third alphabet in this term will be W. And therefore, the correct option of this question is option number 3. If Varanasi is coded as WCUESGZQ, then the code of Kolkata will be what? Let's write these down once. Now here we do notice another pattern being formed, that is W comes after V. So there is no difference. The difference between C and A is of 1 alphabet. Let's write down all the alphabets once again. W comes after V. Difference between A and C is of 1 alphabet. the difference between R and U is of 2 alphabets, between A and E is of 3 alphabets, between N and S is of 4, between A and G is of 5, between S and Z is of 6, all these, and between I and Q is of 7. So as per this pattern that is being formed, we can easily find out the pattern for Kolkata also. The alphabet which comes right after K is L. The alphabet which has a gap of 1 alphabet after O is Q. The alphabet that comes after L after a gap of 2 is O. After a gap of 3 for K comes O. After a gap of 4 after A comes F. After a gap of 5 after T comes Z. And after a gap of 6 after A comes H. So as per this pattern, the answer will be LZOOFZH. So option 4 is our correct answer. Introducing Rakesh to her husband, a woman said, "His brother's father is the only son of my grandfather." The woman is related to Rakesh as what? Let's denote all the female options by a circle and all the male options by a square. Introducing Rakesh to her husband, a woman said that his brother's father is the only son of my grandfather. Now since this woman's grandfather just has one son, that means this person is her father and her father's son will be her brother, which also makes Rakesh her brother. Therefore, the relationship between the woman and Rakesh is of a brother and sister. So therefore, our correct answer will be of a sister. Two numbers are in the ratio 2:5. If 16 is added to both the numbers, their ratio becomes 1:2. What are those numbers? The ratio being 2:5 can be written like this, and since the numbers are not known, we can let them as 2x and 5x. Now according to the question, 16 is added to both the numbers, after which their ratio becomes 1:2. So this is the problem that has been framed. Now we can easily solve them by cross multiplying, which makes it 2x plus 16 into 2 is equal to 1 into 5x plus 16. After solving this equation, x comes out to be 16. Therefore, the numbers which we let as 2x and 5x will be 32 and 80. Therefore, our correct answer is option 4. This brings us to the end of this video. The next 25 questions will be covered in the part 2 of this video. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel. You can also check out our other channel by the name of DU High, which will provide you more such free videos for the preparation of NET JRF. The link of the channel is in the description box below. Thank you.